Okay, phase one. Phase one is the Point McKenzie Road to the AC connector. There is road that goes along with this bridge. There's about 18 miles that's under our scope. Not all the 18 miles is included in phase one. It is a 2 to 4 lane bridge, 4-lane foundation. So the intent is to build the bridge foundation-wise, structure-wise, for final build-out. We'll be looking at the options to either put a 2-lane deck or a 4-lane deck with pedestrian and bicycle traffic on it during phase one. There's a cut and cover tunnel through one of the oldest communities in the municipality of Anchorage, and that's Government Hill. Low impacts, and we have a visual to show that. We estimate it's 4 years. You ask the private sector guy, which is me, and I say you can do it in 3 years, and then you ask the some of the other guys, and they say, well, 4 years. So it's between 3 and 4 years. We estimate the cost is about $715 million for the first phase. Second phase is a 4-lane portion of the bridge, also the connection to Ingram Gamble, which is the main core, which is the main. It turns into the Seward Highway leaving south of Anchorage, and so it's also the road that goes south. The Glen Highway goes north. We estimate it to be in the 2030 time frame, and based on today's dollars, is about $375 million. Portions of this may, or all of this, or portion of this may come under the private partner scope in future years. This is what it looks like. The orange portion over here, this is the Point McKenzie. Most of this has been already constructed. And so really the scope under phase one is this magenta, the crossing, the yellow, and then all of this is a blow up of the Port of Anchorage area. Again, this is Elmendorf Air Force Base here. So you have DOD lands, and then Ship Creek, and then Anchorage is right over here. Okay, this is, you can find most of this stuff on our website. This is just a bunch of design information, the 35% design update. I think someone asked about the 35%, and the 35% is located on our website, correct, Kevin? Okay. A lot of folks, even in the state, because if you've been there, you look at Cook Inlet, if you stick your hand in the water, you're not going to see it. It's muddy. It's glacial. And so it's a very turbid ocean environment, mud lines, and in fact, if you visit the state, don't walk out in the mud lines because it's nothing short of quicksand that looks like concrete. I think probably once or twice a summer we lose somebody who ventures out, gets stuck, tide comes in, they drown. However, and we have a visual for this. However, the center port of where the bridge structure actually sits is a scour line. It's actually the foundation there is a glacial till, highly consolidated glacial till. Call it nature's concrete. And so the foundation part of this, it's a good location for foundation. The mud lines is where the embankments are. Anchorage is to the right. Matsuburto's to the left. This is a scour line, or the trench. There's a scour trench. This is high tide, or medium tide. This is low tide. Yeah, interesting part of that slide there, and actually we had the deputy administrator for federal highways, and we had I forgot his position with NOAA and NIMS. They came to look at this project this past summer, and this area, we call it Knik Arm, as part of Cook Inlet. It's a bathtub. It drains twice a day. The tidal changes in it is almost 30 feet. The tide moves by almost 30 feet. Just around the corner of Anchorage is one of the few places in the world that we have what's called a tidal bore, which is the ingoing tide meets the outgoing tide, and we actually have a standing wave that can be 5 or 6 feet. The current here, and this is what some folks had a hard time imagining the current. The current here is 6 knots when the tide goes out. That's like any other river. I mean, like the Mississippi River flowing. So when the tide changes, when you're out there, it is like a river flowing out. When you see the structures in the water, it looks like a river. It doesn't look like the ocean. We have a 50-foot requirement from the Coast Guard. And at low tide, it'd be 80 feet. Government Hill, this is one of the first parts of the project coming out of Anchorage. As I said earlier, it's a cut and buried tunnel. If you can see, this is the area right in here. This used to be a Department of Defense tank farm. The project will go along the bluff here. Port of Anchorage is over here. But this is the Government Hill cut and buried tunnel. That's before. That's what it looks like after. One of the things on the project was have minimal impacts on this community. So, as I said, it's one of the original points of Anchorage. This Government Hill, where the settlers came in. They settled in the Ship Creek area, which is down in here, which is now part of the industrial area. But this is one of the oldest communities of Anchorage. Right away, where are we at? We expect to have the right-of-way completed in 2012. We're actually in the process of moving forward with right-of-way acquisition, meeting with government, and that's with the Department of Defense, the Municipality of Anchorage, in acquiring or obtaining all the right-of-way. The record of decision was December 15th. I consider that a record document. It's a decision document that says go build. You have a build alternative. The other permits we're working on are equally important, but I consider them to be process permits. We have to go through the process. We have to satisfy the agencies. As I said earlier, on the core permit, we may be changing the fill, giving up some fill to increase the span just to help with sedimentation, tidal sedimentation from Knik Arm. We also have some LOAs in place with NIMPS and the Marine Mammal Protection Act. This is related to the beluga. And then we anticipate the permits to be completed in 2012. Building the bridge. There was a lot of discussion, and actually about a year ago, the type of bridge structure was changed from a driven pile to an oscillating pile. Last year, no, the year before that, the state put in the first oscillating pile on a Tanana Bridge, which is on the Alaska Highway. It was very successful. We've gone out and looked at other oscillating projects. So the type of bridge foundation has changed to minimize the impacts to the beluga whales, which is a listed species. This is season 1. You're just starting in on the piling foundations. And of course, a lot of you know what an oscillating pile looks like. It's got teeth on the end. It has a dead load or down load. Basically, you just grind it in. It's like a drill. Works very well. And then you come back and cage it. You fill it with concrete. You have to bale it. And that's what the crane is doing, is baling it. Significant noise reduction using this type of foundation over a driven pile foundation. This is what it looks like after the bridge is in, before you start putting the structure on it. Again, it's 14,000 feet from coast to coast, and about 8,400 feet currently of bridge structure.